In this video I want to go through a somewhat detailed explanation of how to use the Solid Extrude option in MasterCam. So I've created geometry in various colors so we can select it by color masking. So I'm going to start by choosing from the drop down menus Solids, Extrude, and my chaining window will come up. I'm going to tell it I want to chain in the construction plane, which is currently the top. I'm going to go to the masking options. Because the mask is shown here, I have some set from whatever previous operation I'd done. So I'm going to look at what color I'm currently masking for, and it's green. So I'm going to clear that. I'm going to tell it to only let me select color blue number 9. Accept that selection. I'll accept my chaining options. I'm in construction plane chaining and chain a closed object, so I'll click one of the blue entities. I have them all chained and I know they meet well because there's only one arrow here. If there were two arrows, then that's telling me there's an issue with my geometry I need to correct. So I'll accept this selection and my Solid Extrude window will open up. Now I want to create a body. I can give it a name here. It's going to be my solid stock when I'm done, so I'll call it stock. I'm going to just create a single operation. I can change the chains here if I want. It's telling me currently I have one selected. If my chain is going in the wrong direction, sorry, not the chain but the solid extrusion, as it is, I want it to come down, I can do several things. I can reverse the direction. The distance here will be whatever the last extrusion distance I did. And in this case 3/4 is correct. If it's not, I can do several things. So I'll reverse it again. I can grab the blue arrow and I can drag it around using the ruler. I can also snap the geometry, or the auto cursor will automatically let me select any geometry at the Z level I want to extrude to and populate that here. Our both directions option will do just that. It'll put it 3/4 in both directions. And if I had other faces, I could use the trim to faces. So I'm happy with this extrusion. I can accept and exit the command, or I can accept this and keep the command active, or I can cancel the command altogether and what I've done. I'm going to accept this and continue on. So I'm back to my chaining window. I'm going to switch it back to construction plane chaining, and this time I'm going to chain my pink entities. I'll have to alter my chaining options. So I'm going to go back into the color masking, clear it, and tell it to only let me select color pink, number 13. I'll accept these settings, chain my geometry, accept that. Back in the solid extruder again, what are we doing? We're going only 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to use the auto cursor and I'm going to tell it to come up to this geometry here, or I can tell it to come up to this geometry here, which would have two solids interfering, as we can see over here. If I leave the create body on, I will have just that, two solids that interfere. What I wanted to do is combine these into one solid body, so I'm going to tell it to do that with the add boss option. So I'm happy with the distance, happy with my settings. Again, I can rechain using these options, and I'm going to accept that. I'm back in the chaining. I'm going to stick with construction plane chaining. I'm going to press Alt S so the shading goes away. This time I want to use my red triangle and add that to the geometry. So once again I'll go into my masking options to color. I'll clear all, and this time tell it to only let me select number 12 red and accept these settings. Because I'm in construction plane chaining and the top plane, it won't grab all this at once. So I'm going to unselect that. What I will do is switch to the right construction plane. Now in construction plane chaining, I can select that triangle, tell it I'm happy. Once again, we can see the extrusion preview is for 6 inches. I'll use the auto cursor and tell it to extrude up to this point. Turn the shading back on so we can see it better. And I want to add it as a boss. So I'm going to exit the command for a second, accept these selections. I now have a toolpath and a solids window I can populate here. and we can see we have one solid. So back into the solid extrusion so I can add this little gusset as well. I'm going to select solid, extrude, set my options this time for only green, accept these selections. Again, I'll do construction plane chaining because I'm in the right side, end my chaining, use my auto cursor to tell it up to this point, but I'm going to leave it as a create boss rather than an add boss. So I'll say OK. If I go to my solids manager, you'll see I have two solids, one here and one here. The problem with having multiple solids is when I go to stock setup and I tell it I want to use a solid as my stock file, I can only choose one solid. And I want to choose multiple solids, so I need to combine them. I'll cancel this. I could have combined them in the solids operation as I did with these three, or if I've made this mistake, it's not a problem. And just clear my colors. I'll go back into solids, and this time I'll use the Boolean operation. It tells me to select the main target body, so I'll select this body. And then what bodies do I want to do a Boolean operation on? So I'm going to tell it to use this body, accept that, and I have three options. I can add these into one body, I can remove the material where they interfere, or I can keep the material where they interfere. I want to add them, so I'll accept that. If we go back to our solid tree, we can see we have one solid body, and now I can select all of that as my stock. And I should save my work.